Spring practice. It allows some players the chance to move up the depth chart, and it also gives some players a clarity about if Ohio State is the right place for them to play college football.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Tuesday, February 7th in the year 2023, and this episode is brought to us by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/locked on today to get started. During this episode, we will discuss if players entering the transfer portal at a certain position is going to be a problem for the Buckeyes, and we discuss a former Buckeye who is now on the Wisconsin coaching staff. But before we get to any of that, this phrase comes to mind when thinking about what could happen at the linebacker position at the end of spring practice. Deja vu. Ohio State brings back Steel Chambers and Tommy Eichenberg, two of the best linebackers in the Big Ten. Could it honestly be one of the best linebacker duos in the entire country? Tommy Eichenberg, I think he's going to be an All-American at the end of the season. Steel Chambers should be an all-Big Ten player at the end of the season. Yes, both Buckeye linebackers have the capability of being all-Big Ten players, and one of them being an All-American at the end of the season. But what about the other guys? What about guys like C.J. Hickson, Reed Carrico, and Cody Simon, and the other guys that are linebackers at Ohio State? A position that, as I look at it, doesn't have the experience outside of the top two guys. Cody Simon has played a little bit of football, but he has not played a lot of football, a lot of starting football at the Ohio State University. When you look at the top two guys, that's probably not going to change at the end of spring practice. Will we see a fall off or players into the portal similar to what we saw last year at the cornerback position? Now, the cornerback position, a lot of those guys into the portal prior to spring practice starting. There were four guys at the end of the 2021 college football season that were Buckeyes entered the transfer portal. Andre Turrentine transferred to Tennessee. Legend Cavazos transferred to North Carolina. Sevyn Banks transferred to LSU. Then Ryan Watts transferred to Texas. All of those guys would have helped the position that was the weakest on the football field for Ohio State a year ago, and it would have added not just depth, but guys that are really, really talented. Sevyn Banks probably would not have started, but with the injury situation and Denzel Burke not playing the same way Burke did during his freshman year, Sevyn Banks would have played a little bit, would have had a chance to raise his draft stock and possibly be a full-time starter. You would have had Ryan Watts, who would have been great when Cam Brown and Denzel Burke went down. Ryan Watts goes in, and I think Ryan Watts is going to be a phenomenal football player at Texas. Legend Cavazos, he literally said he wanted to go to a place that allowed him to play immediately and to have a bigger role on the defense. These are things that these guys said a year ago. And when I think about a guy like a C.J. Hicks, now, second year, he'll be a sophomore, a true sophomore. I don't think he's going anywhere, but it's a thing to think, what's going to happen? Does he want to play right away and leave, or does he want to wait his turn and play at Ohio State? Mitchell Melton coming off of an injury. Also, he might not be a double a linebacker, an inside or a weak side linebacker. He could be in that jack role, the hybrid linebacker position. So that's one guy that leaves your regular linebacker spot. What about Reed Carrico? Someone who I think is really talented, who's going to be going into his third year at Ohio State. What do you think about Reed Carrico? Is he going to try and do a Legend Cavazos type of deal and go somewhere where he can play and have a bigger role on the team? That's TBD, to be determined. But these are the kinds of things that you have in conversations as you figure out during spring practice. Cody Simon is an interesting one because I think Cody Simon can play and can start at some places. I don't think he's going to be a starter at Ohio State. And even next year, I don't know if he's going to start a year from now. So these are all things I'm thinking about. And when I say deja vu, this is very similar to the cornerback position a year ago. Now, let's keep it in context. Sevyn Banks, Ryan Day, and the other coaches, they all thought Sevyn Banks was not going to be on the team in the spring anyway, because he kept talking about and stating he was going to the National Football League. The other guys, Ryan Watts and Andre Turrentine and Ledger Cavazos, those may have been surprises. Those may have been things that weren't expected, but those guys wanted to play, and they went to really good football programs with a shot at, and with the mindset that they were going to play the football. I hope that the linebacker position next year is not the same way depth-wise that the cornerback position was a year ago. But it could happen. We could be looking at a situation where Ohio State could lose one, maybe two linebackers when the post-spring practice transfer portal window opens up and you're saying, oh, the depth at linebacker that we thought we had, it's not there. Now, you have two tough linebackers in Steel Chamber, Tommy Eichenbergs. Tommy Two Thumbs played with two broken thumbs. I get it. Also, Eichenberg is missing spring practice. So that actually allows some of these younger guys to move up and to get more run than they normally would. So I don't know what's going to happen with these guys, but if they enter the transfer portal, that's the lay of the land, and that's how college football is right now. It allows the players to have a chance to transfer, to play at a school, to go to a school that suits them and fits them best in their current career playing the college football. Hey, transfers happen. And we can see a couple transfers at the LB position for Ohio State when the post-spring practice transfer portal window opens up. Is that a bad thing? Is it a bad thing for players to transfer? Is it a bad thing for Ohio State? We'll discuss all that next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by Built Bar. Looking for a delicious treat but don't want all of the fat and calories? Then you gotta try a Built Bar. We just got through the holidays, and I know my goal is to eat a little healthier this year. If you're like me, where you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise taste, then, man, you have to try Built. It's exactly what you're looking for. What makes Built Bar so good? Well, for starters, they are all covered in 100% real chocolate. And they come in unbelievable flavors like churro, peanut butter brownie, and coconut almond. And now you don't need to wait around to get a box. For years, we've been talking about ordering your Built Bars at Built.com. That is still something you can do every single day of the week. Also, you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Head to your nearest Walmart today, walk to the pharmacy section, and grab yourself a box of Built Bars. You can pick up a 4-bar box of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run in and grab a 13-bar box with our hit flavors, brownie batter, and churro. You can thank me later. Thanks for making Locked on Buckeyes your first listen every day. Make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked on College Basketball. It provides everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, hear from big-name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked on College Basketball is available on YouTube and wherever you get your fine podcast. So, numerous fans, college football fans, college basketball fans, fans of collegiate athletics, they have their own thought process. They have their own opinion about the transfer portal. Some like it, some don't. Personally, I think that implementing the transfer portal windows was great. Would I put a window and have a window open during bowl season? Probably not. I'd probably move that 45-day window after the national championship game and still keep the one after spring practice. But I do like the implementation of the transfer portal windows. It provides some structure for the youngsters and the coaches and the administration and everybody involved about when a player can enter the portal. Now, players can still sit out, I do believe, and just decide not to play, like the NFL, holdouts and things like that. But I don't think we've seen any of that at all lately. We've seen guys that are going to enter the portal that say, yeah, at the end of the season, I'm going to enter the portal, but they still play the football. So I do like that part about the portal. The one thing that I'm still up in the air about, and it's going to take me a while to get used to, it is players. And right now, we're not predicting like NBA free agency or NFL free agency. Oh, he's going to be a free agent. Will his team retain him? What teams will try to get the services of this player or that player or Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady or Devontae? Just naming some names that have been free agents throughout their career. No. We're not doing that. In college, is this player going to leave? How many players are going to leave? How do we get past this? How does this team fill this hole? All of those things. And that's what comes to mind when it comes to what we're talking about today in regards to the linebacker position. Is it a bad thing for the player and the school, two separate topics, if players leave and transfer after spring practice? For the player, sometimes you just got to wait your turn. Sometimes you don't need to wait your turn anymore because there's a spot that's open for you where you can start instantly. Literally into the portal, commit to a school, you go there, you're a starter. Why? Because you're that good. Now, that's an option, being able to start immediately. But ultimately, among the guys that are here, there aren't many linebackers. I wrote down 8 names that are linebackers, I'm sure, and these are guys that were on the roster a year ago. I didn't write any freshmen down. Arvell Reese, because I don't believe they're going to transfer after spring practice. I don't even think they're able to get out of their national letter of intent. Not no Jaden Rashada type of deal. I don't believe these players are allowed to transfer during that window. I believe they still have to play and be at the school via the contract that they signed, at least for the first full season prior to going into the portal. But there's the guys' names, Elias Myers and Jackson Kuwach and Jalen Pace, and guys that are probably not going to play this year. If you look at a depth chart on the internet, they're not going to be there. So there are those names there, but between CJ Hicks and Mitchell Melton and Reed Carrico and Cody Simon and Gabe Powers, honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Cody Simon decides to transfer. It wouldn't shock me at all. Now, would it be a not sour spot, a bad, I don't want to say a bad mark. Would it hurt Ohio State if Cody Simon ended up transferring? Absolutely. Because outside of Eichenberg and Steele Chambers, nobody has experience at LB. Pauliena OT, he hangs up his cleats. He's no longer playing football. So there's one linebacker who had some experience, starting experience at USC, transfers to Ohio State, but he just not good enough to get on the field consistently, and he decided to hang up his cleats and no longer play football. So be it. Happy for him. Not everybody's going to play football at the next level. I don't think it's a bad thing for the players. Honestly, it would hurt Ohio State. Only because of the depth and the guys that you're losing. And you're starting to wonder, okay, we thought we had these guys. They enter the portal in May. There's half a month of May. You got June, you got July, you got fall camp in August. That's not a lot of time to get some younger guys up to speed in case one of your older guys can't go, so you can have a guy like a Gabe Powers or a Reed Carrico ready to go. It could be a bad thing for Ohio State, but it's not the end of the world. And honestly, this is college sports right now. I mean, this is literally what you have to deal with. This is literally what's going on. You want to know why some coaches want to leave college and go to the NFL? This right here. Think about being a coach. And You think you got your whole roster figured out, still trying to move pieces on the depth chart, but you think by the end of spring practice, you have a good handle of the depth chart and who should play or who will play in the fall, and you think you have a good handle on where everybody's mindset is in regards to playing the football. But as we know, there is a good chance you don't know everything about the players, and they're not telling you everything when you talk to them in a one-on-one setting. Spring practice is over. Ryan Day is trying to figure out the roster. Oh, so-and-so is going into the portal. Oh, so-and-so is going into the portal. Who is it? A couple linebackers. And then Jim Knowles and his defensive coaching staff, they're sitting here wondering, oh, boy, how do we fill these shoes? Why are they doing that? Because that's the way the sport is right now. People keep getting on Jim Harbaugh flirting with the NFL. I don't think Jim Harbaugh wants to mess with the portal consistently year after year after year. It's worked for him. Unfortunately, it's helped him beat Ohio State in back-to-back seasons. It's helped him win the Big Ten Conference Championship. It's helped him make back-to-back berths in the playoff. It's helped him. But I don't think Jim Harbaugh truly wants to deal with this portal every single offseason. I don't think he wants to. Do I think Ryan Day wants to deal with the new changes to the sport? I don't. It's an unnecessary, something that you just have to do. If you want to say it's an evil, it's a necessary evil or unnecessary evil, whichever way you want to describe it. It's something he has to do to deal with the sport. Mark Pantoni, general manager of the football team, is a great person for Ryan Day to lean on to say, hey, man, here's what I see. What do you see? Help me figure this thing out. That's the sport right now. And I guarantee you, Luke Fickell at Wisconsin, or any other coach out there, they're sitting here wondering, do I really want to deal with this every single year? Maybe that's what's pushing Nick Saban outside of college football. Now, he does have a contract. I think he will coach at least one of the two games that Alabama and Ohio State will play in a few years, which is great. But I don't think Nick Saban wants to deal with this all the time. I don't think Kirby Smart wants to deal with this all the time. I don't think Dabo Swinney wants to deal with this all the time, or Brian Kelly or Lincoln Riley. Well, Lincoln Riley does every now and then. I don't think they want to deal with this all the time. Not just the additions, but the losses. I don't think they want to deal with it. But that's a sport. It could hurt Ohio State if the guys end up transferring. It could be a great thing for the players that transfer. All that is TBD, to be determined. But the portal is something everybody has to deal with. And it could be something Ohio State has to deal with after spring practice in regards to linebackers entering the transfer portal. From a guy who didn't enter the portal, played at Ohio State, was a three-time captain, who is now a grad assistant at Wisconsin. Who is it? Luke Fickell brought a Buckeye along with him to Madison, Wisconsin, and it's someone that recently played at Ohio State. That's all I'll tell you. I'll tell you who it is next right here on Locked On Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. This year, the only app you need at your Super Bowl party is FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the #1 sportsbook in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. Download FanDuel so you can bet Super Bowl 57 with a no-sweat first bet. You'll get up to $3,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet doesn't win. FanDuel lets you bet on everything from the money line to point spreads to who will score a touchdown. The FanDuel Sportsbook app is safe, secure, and super easy to use. Best of all, you can get paid your winnings instantly. So join FanDuel today at FanDuel.com/lockedon to claim your no-sweat first bet on Super Bowl 57. That's FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Sports betting is now legal in Ohio, and Locked On has a perfect show to help new and seasoned gamblers. Download and subscribe to Locked On Bets for daily picks and analysis wherever you get your fine podcast. Think about a linebacker at Ohio State. Played in the 2020 season, played in the national championship for Ohio State. Was among the Buckeyes that when they played 4 linebackers, he was on the field. When they played 3 linebackers, they were on the field. A guy that went undrafted in the 2021 NFL draft, didn't think he was going to go and have a long career in the NFL. That did not happen. Someone that was around for a really long time. It's not Pete Werner. If I gave you a race hint, it would give it away. Tuf Borland. Tuf Borland is now a part of the coaching staff at the University of Wisconsin. That is correct. Tuf Borland has joined the Wisconsin coaching staff as a grad assistant. I am really happy for this young man. A young man that really the last game he played, everybody around the country that watched that game said, why is Ohio State putting Tuf Borland on Devonta Smith? Now, granted, it was a matchup that Alabama dictated via a motion of Devonta Smith on that play, but all people saw was at the snap of the ball, Tuf Borland go, Tuf Borland get behind Devonta Smith, and then that gap getting wider and wider and wider. But Tuf Borland, a young man that was fun to watch play football, was a tough-nosed kid, and I believe if he played, 30 years ago, he might have a chance to make an NFL roster and to play in the NFL for a little bit longer than he did. I'm happy for him. I mean, you got James Laurinaitis as a GA. You got Luke Fickell, a guy who actually recruited Tuf Borland to come to Ohio State. Tuf Borland is now going to and work under the man that helped him. And you know what? It's hard to get away from a sport. You try to play in the NFL, it does not work out for you. Your skill set and your speed and things like that just don't fit the National Football League in 2023, 2022. So what do? You try to coach. He could have gone to high school. It's tough, baby. It's tough. Well, work at the ground level. Be a GA. And I do think, I'm not going to say he's going to be great. I don't know. I'm not going to say James Laurinaitis is going to be great either. But I'm glad that the itch and the urge that Tuf Borland has to still be a part of football, he is going and satisfying that urge immediately. I think Tuf Borland, if he figures out how to transfer the knowledge from his head to the youngsters that he's coaching, and he keeps a great attitude, being at the bottom of the totem pole, and really utilizing and taking advantage of the coaching opportunities that he gets during practice, doesn't get them during the games, but he gets them during practice. And if Wisconsin's coaches or D coordinator, forget his name at the moment, ultimately says, hey, Tuf, run this drill, or hey, Tuf, run individuals. And he says, okay, I got you. And he starts doing it at a very good level, and he shows growth, and he shows maturity, and he shows that he's able to connect with the players, and he's able to be a good recruiter. Maybe he moves up the ladder. There is no opportunity for him at Ohio State to be a GA, not at LB. That went to James Laurinaitis, the former 3-time All-American at Ohio, consensus All-American at Ohio State. Makes sense. I believe in all those years, he had over 100 tackles in all of those seasons. Amen. It just makes sense. You know what also makes sense? Tuf Borland, that itch he has to be a part of a football team still, is still there. I hope it works out for him. I truly, truly do. Because if I was in that situation, I would want somebody who does not know me to root for me to be successful in that new field and a new career venture. And I'm rooting for Tuf Borland. I would root for you as well. If you were a GA at a school and you're trying to be a coach at college football, LB coach, quarterback coach, D-line, safeties, don't matter. If you're trying to be there, I would want to root for you too. I try to be as optimistic as possible, and that's how I'm viewing this right here with Tuf Borland. Sometimes those guys that are captains, sometimes those guys that don't have all the talent, sometimes those guys are great teachers. And maybe that's what we're getting from Tough Borland. Maybe he's just starting and scratching the surface of what's going to be a long coaching career in college football. Guys, we're out of here on a Tuesday. Little linebacker talk. We have some more running back talk and trying to get a guest to come on this on Friday's show to discuss Ryan Day and a very important topic about Ryan Day and his tenure of being Ohio State's football coach. We're out of here, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. Thanks for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen today. For your second listen, check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Experts Isaac Shade and Andy Patton bring you everything you need to know on and off the court. Plus, hear from big-name experts, coaches, and players throughout the basketball landscape. Locked On College Basketball is available on YouTube and wherever you get your fine podcast.